Hi and welcome back to the best thing you watched this week. I've got Chris from Movies and Munchies, myself, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. If this is your first time joining us, what we do is we do a podcast with audio and video. In the audio version, we do an exclusive review, which we don't do in the video stuff. But don't worry, if you're only watching the video stuff, we do all the best things that we watched for that particular week. And then in the audio bit, we do that review. We talk about the things that we're looking forward to coming on streaming platforms, cinema, whatever that we're looking forward to coming that week. We might talk about it and any entertainment news. So there's some exclusive stuff for you to look forward to on the podcast as well as the video stuff. And you're so welcome if you're the first time here. Thank you for joining us. And for everybody that comes back week on week with the audience that we're growing and the community that we're growing, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your eyeballs and your earbuds. Your earballs?
Earballs?
Earballs, yeah.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. Why
not? We also do a Patreon, and this week we're going to be talking about the highest streaming TV series and possibly movies of 2022. I think that'll be an interesting discussion. We have over 45 videos on Patreon there at the moment, ranging from craziness to just, you know, a little bit in-depth more of discussions of TV series, what have you, on various tiers. But the way we start every week is we do a video quiz and a question. And the video quiz is always about reviews. No, the video quiz is about movies normally. And I'm going to let Chris take it on from here.
I'm going to do a quote from a review, and you have to guess which review it is.
Right. Yeah, that would be so weird. My brain.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, and also before we begin, I think we need to draw special attention to our attire. Somebody had said in the comments, Ruben, you should wear a flannel. Chris, you should wear a t-shirt. There you go. We swapped. Ruben's got just a snazzy, I use the word snazzy, I sound like my grandfather, an outstanding looking flannel there. So, good choice. All right. Well, for our movie quote quiz, last week, we had a new winner, which was outstanding, Matthew, who got all three. Honorable mention to Nostromo, who got 2 out of the 3 with the actual titles, but knew the third movie was a Tom Hanks movie. So close.
Very close.
Almost.
Okay.
But you didn't get the title. So, you know. There you go. No. All right. So the answers were The Untouchables, Guardians of the Galaxy, and You've Got Mail. Yeah.
I didn't get You Got Mail.
No, it was more of an obscure one. That was a harder one. I definitely admit it might noodle you a little bit, like niggle on your brain. Like I've heard that, but yeah, placing it. If I heard it, I wouldn't be able to have placed it either.
Okay.
Today's though, I'm going fairly easy. I think.
Okay.
I think they're easy.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
Okay. Number 1. Dishes are done, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I know who it is. Yeah.
Okay. I like. There's a part before that where I could do a sound effect, but I'm not going to because I think that gives it too much away.
All right.
Anyway. Okay. Number 2. He's not Judge Judy, an executioner.
Yep.
I couldn't do the accent and do the thing, so there you go. You get me. Okay. And number 3. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
It's a great one. Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
I love that one.
It's a really good one.
Not a massive fan of the movie, but the quote is outstanding in that scene. It is good. So,
yeah.
If you have guesses, put your guesses of the movie titles down below in the comments. We'll give you a shout out next week.
Yeah.
So now, Ruben, do you have a question for us?
I do, and I think it's a little bit on topic with what's happening at the moment in the entertainment world. We've had all of the Oscar nominations go out this week, which is coming off BAFTAs. We having what are they called? The Zavies? No,
Razzies?
The Razzies, thank you.
Yes.
And a little bit of controversy of them having to retract some of their, because they nominated a really young girl and people are like, you can't do that. It's a kid. Stop it.
That's mean.
Yeah, come on, man. So my question is, we have a lot of award ceremonies. is the Oscars, because the Oscars used to be the one that was the thing that everybody aspired to. Are the Oscars relevant? Do we even need them? Or are they just for the actors to celebrate the job that they're doing? Because it used to be a big televised thing where people used to enjoy watching it. And I think there's still some that do, but I think it's mostly those that are in the entertainment industry, those maybe film critics or part of the crew that have been part of the film or a part of entertainment somehow that watch it because it means something to them because it might be somehow related to the job or their life. But I think in the zeitgeist of what people caring about whether the rich people go out into the red carpets and, you know, what they're wearing. Who am I wearing today, Bob? With how pretentious it's been getting over the last few years, you know, and then the silliness of like Will Smith slapping, you know, over a stupid joke that shouldn't have been said, but him thinking that it's okay for him to hit another person in front of millions of people. Before that, during the COVID, we had the most ridiculous televised ceremony. That was bonkers. That was a weird ceremony. Mm-hmm. Do we need it?
I would argue no, we don't. I think people are going to tune in this year because of the controversy of last year with just the zaniness of Will Smith and what antics got up. So I think people are going to be hoping maybe that something else weird like that, spectacle happens.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to. I think they're going to be much on edge and ready for any type of strangeness that could happen, any type of drama like that. I mean, you nailed it on your head with it's the actors giving themselves awards.
Yeah.
You know, I think it helps them from a marketable standpoint, maybe within studios. There used to be a time where when you would see Academy Award winner, you know, with, you know, Academy Award nominee, and that meant something. And now I don't know. I mean, first off, we have so many award shows.
Yeah.
Right? And for as many problems as I think the Golden Globes have, especially with their hierarchy and their just behind the scenes, their organization itself, just from how not current with the times, how not appropriate when it comes to equity versus race and gender and sexuality and all of that. I think though it is a better premise, maybe, because it's not actors or those in the entertainment industry necessarily nominating. It's the Foreign Press Association. And so I think something like that. Maybe we don't necessarily need the Golden Globes either, but something like that that does draw attention to the hard work that, you know, of these people that rises to the top. To be recognized for, you know, for well done. I mean, some of that you're just paid, you know, but in a regular job, a lot of the times you'll have an employee of the month or something like that. And so that's kind of like what this is a little bit, you know, it's a performance review. You did a great job. You get a raise this year. Okay, cool. As far as relevancy though, I don't know how much, I barely watch anymore. I didn't watch the Golden Globes. I looked at the winners. That's all I cared about. It was just, I just was curious who won, you know, because some of the things where I was just disappointed that they didn't even get nominated or that's weird, you know. And so how about you though?
Yeah. Even being part of, you know, because we're in this industry and we have been for many years in one way or another. I used to even sit up, stay awake till 2 a.m. watching a 4.5 hour thing that, you know, I'm not getting awarded for. I used to love it. That the host used to be good. The jokes used to be genuinely funny. The entertainment in between, it's a big thing, and it's gotten less and less like that. Now they don't even put on the relevant, like last year they didn't even put some of the ones that I wanted to see of the Oscars. They're just like, oh, in between the ad breaks, we announced. I'm saying, are you kidding? Like, why did you do that? And it's just become more and more of a look at me. This is who I'm wearing. This is about like me showcasing this film almost. And then it's become more and more of a stepping stone for whatever that actor is feeling like they need to share to the world, right? And this is it was like, do every other day of like your life, be talking about that, and go to your places and do that, rather than the one time I'm receiving the Oscar, and it almost feels like a gimmick for them to, because it used to be thank you God for my mom and dad, and that's all fine, but now it's like world peace, and it's like, where have you been for the whole year? Anyway, I don't know that we need them. I think the star power that we used to have in the 90s and 2000s, where the actors were the big thing, like the A-listers, we don't have that so much anymore. Even The Rock can't draw in the money that they used to. If you put a name or a title of a person, it doesn't mean that much anymore. And that's why studios try and put on like this title from A24 now. It's become like production companies. It's getting really ridiculous, out there. From Marvel, the presenter of Marvel, it used to be from Brad Pitt's studio company, or it used to be Brad Pitt. And we've really kind of going away from that. So the sort of the star thing that used to be Stallone and, Brad Pitt, all those guys, it doesn't seem to be that thing anymore. So it feels less and less relevant. Yeah, I don't know. You should let us know in the comments would you, if you're in the UK for one, would you stay up and watch this 4-hour thing, or are you not even bothered? Because I doubt many people would be bothered. Or will you even catch it on replay? Because I don't know if any people will in the UK.
Yeah, you might watch something on YouTube, maybe.
Yeah,
like a clip of something.
Some
if there was...
smart YouTuber that has managed to like get the best clips and just
and get past all the copyright stuff.
Yeah. Just put his own order, dub it for himself.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Right.
But talking about that, Chris, about the Oscars, I've decided to include 4 new Oscars, and I'm going to award them tonight.
Okay.
So, for the slowest movie that I've ever seen, I'm going to give the Oscar to Beau Travail, a French cinema film that was the most painful movie I've ever watched. This is part of the Criterion movie selection that I was sent. Now, I know this is meant to be one of those films that you're meant to watch in your lifetime, and I understand its art, I understand its mise en scene, and I understand this flew totally over my head, and some people are going to be shouting at me, but I just want to say, congratulations, Beau Travail. You are the slowest film I've ever seen. You win the Oscar.
How long is it?
I aged. It's 93 minutes.
Oh, I aged. Wow, 93 minutes and you felt the time? That's terrible.
Yeah. I still don't know what this movie was about.
See, I got burned a bunch of times by French movies. I've had better experiences as of late, but there was a period in the early mid 90s there where I was just like, what the, I must be missing something huge. Like it's a cultural thing or something,
and for the second Oscar, for the worst pilot for a new TV series that I've ever seen, Wolfpack. Congratulations. You guys outdid yourselves. I've never seen anything quite like this. Going from B-movie horror, where a guy's head is imploded by a deer stamping on it, and me going, wow, you're going there, to the worst dialogue I have ever heard in a pilot. Me going, how did this get greenlit? Take it.
So Ruben messaged me this week and he told me this. He's like, I've seen the worst pilot ever. And I'm like, ooh, what is it? I'm intrigued. So tell us, so those of us that are unaware of what it is or whatever, where would we see it so that we can avoid it? Or if we're really into some just self-flagellation, we can torture
It's in
ourselves.
Paramount Plus.
Okay.
It's a new... the only reason that I started watching it is because it's called Wolfpack. I love me some like werewolf series or movies. I'm always into the fantasy stuff. And Wolfpack, I was like, okay, I know what this is about. It's got Sarah Michelle Gellar, and I knew they were going to go teeny with it.
Sure.
But
Are you dumber for having watched it?
I'm complexed because they threw all new lore. I was like, okay, you're doing something different with they can do this. But then when I was seeing some of the CG, when I was seeing what they were doing, okay, so when you get bitten, the one girl that gets bitten, she had really bad acne. And the wolf powers healed her acne. She becomes
cool.
But when she's looking in the mirror, it's so airbrushed, like it's like smooth airbrushed. And then from then on, they're not really focusing on her face, I guess, because maybe she does have acne. I don't know. But it was a really weird thing to do and establish that way. There are just so many choices in this that I
no idea why.
Couldn't get past. I was just like, what is happening in this show? Okay. For the third Oscar, the award goes to the series, a fantasy series, Willow. And the new Oscar is for the darkest episode of TV I've ever seen. Now, I'm not saying darkest as in genre. I mean physical color of black that you couldn't see anything in. The fourth episode of Willow, we switched off our bedroom light. We closed the curtains. We closed the door. I still couldn't see what was going on. So we tried it's just normal switching the light, watching an episode of TV. We switch it back on. See nothing. But what's going on screen is obviously big budget, lots of fighting. If you've seen the episode that everybody talks about of Game of Thrones, so you know that dark episode, that's great, you can't see. This is way worse.
And your TV wasn't broken? I mean, it didn't...
because I'm going to talk about a black and white film in the best thing I watched. And that's very dark, but I could see everything going on in it.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, the last award for the new Oscars that I think they should do goes to the cringiest movie I've ever seen. Called You People. Congratulations, you made me do this for most of the film.
Just not having it, huh?
It's got an incredible cast, an amazing array of actors. I don't know what happened to it. And also, the people that liked it are very, very angry that I don't like it. But thankfully, that seems to be outweighed by the number of people that were commenting in my review going, this is garbage. This is nonsense. What happened? Why is Eddie Murphy like this? Why haven't they allowed him to be funny? He's just dry and humorless. Why are some of these jokes actually racist when this was the thing that you were trying to point out between Jews and African American? What has happened to the script?
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
So
they love me. They really love me. Anyway, that's
I'm not sure you wanted to be included in those new categories for Ruben's Oscars, but hey, congratulations.
Look, maybe one biggest nonsense of the week is fine, but four, and they're all different for different reasons, just terrible. I'm just not.
Yeah, you had to.
I had to have a new segment for us. Oscar award goes to.
Well, would you like to change the trajectory? Would you like to talk about perhaps the best thing you watched this week?
Let's do it. Let's talk about good stuff.
Cool. Tell me, what was because you've told me 4 things that were horrible. So
all right, so to redeem Criterion, there's a film that I didn't know that I needed to see. It's a black and white film. When they made it, they made it with a really incredible cast. They made it. It's 1955, so it's quite old. The director decided to do it in black and white. He could have done it in color, but it's based on a book. And when it came out, critics didn't know what to do with it. When they eventually watched it, because the studio didn't know what to do with it. I don't even think it got to cinemas, but only later in 1970s did it become a cult classic. And then later, I think 1977, did it get written into one of those segments where we keep it. You know, there's a vault of films that are now cult classics of films that we regard highly. It's called The Night of the Hunter, and it's one of the scariest films children will ever watch. And the reason I say children, because it's about children. Okay, so the synopsis: The Night of the Hunter. Incredibly, the only film the great actor Charles Lawton ever directed. It's truly a standalone masterwork, a horror movie with qualities of a grim fairy tale. It starts in a sublimely sinister Robert Mitchum as a traveling preacher named Harry Powell, whose nefarious motives for marrying a fragile widow, played by Shelley Winters, are uncovered by her terrified young children. So basically, you have a dad. He comes running to his son, gives his son $10,000, say, hide this, never tell anybody about it. The dad has stolen this money. He no longer wanted his kids to live in the world of poverty. He saw that's what was coming. Something nasty happens to the dad, so the mother is now got these two children to look after, but the dad said, don't tell your mother even, because she won't look after the money. So it's only the daughter and the son that know where the money is. The preacher that is the big bad is the guy that's in the jail cell with the dad, that something happened. So he hears about the money. So he comes pretending to be this great man. And basically it's this guy relentlessly hunting these kids, trying to find out where the money. And for the majority of the film, it's just these two kids on their own trying to survive this preacher who has such a menacing aura about him. But the way it's filmed is Hitchcockian. It's not German expressionism, but it has nods towards German expressionism. So some of the sets you'll see like representing, just in the bedroom, there's like shadows that are like steeples that represent a church. There's all very sharp lines, black and whites. They specifically used a type of film, a new type of film that really darkens the blacks, but it makes the rest then stand out. And this whole crew that filmed this film was on board the previous film together. So they came, they had practiced using this new film that had just come out, and then they came onto this set, and so they knew exactly what to do. So yeah, you get a gothic noir investigation family story that is only a 12, but there are parts of it you're like, well, that's horrific. Even to some of the songs that the children sing, you're like, they're singing about a hanging, and then you recognize the references to the other kids who've experienced a hanging. It's just so airy, and it's so in contrast with each other all the time. Seriously, a masterwork. You don't know that you're engrossed until you're like, oh, I'm sitting forward. Okay, it's fine. I'm fine. I'll sit back again. But it's one of those that just kind of grips you. And then when it ends, you're like, wow, that was weird. How have I never seen this movie? Incredible film.
I have never seen this movie, but it's going on my list. So this sounds like, because this is one of the Criterion ones that they sent you, right? The 1001 movies that you should see. And okay.
Yeah.
So this sounds like it's a good one, one to actually that you should see.
I should put it in context. I did watch the Bow Travel beforehand, and so maybe anything afterwards is just genius and gold. But honestly,
you should have watched You People after Bow. Then.
I should have. But this was phenomenally good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and you said it was Robert Mitchum and Shelley Winters.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll show the cover again. Yeah, it's nice. seriously good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to check that out. That sounds dark and disturbing, and I like that.
So, Chris, you've had an interesting week where it's been Sundance. So I didn't know what you were going to bring to us. I don't even know how much normal stuff you've been watching, because you've been on a business trip. So what's on your first list? I have, as of this recording, I have watched 8 of my 22 Sundance movies that I bought tickets for. Jeez.
I have 14 left. And for context, my movies expire. My access expires on Sunday night. It is Saturday late afternoon 24 hours. For me. Yeah, I have, yeah. So, so Chris is not going to sleep.
Right.
Yeah, no, but I did. Yeah, I've been on a business trip also, which prevented watching a lot. So yeah, anyway, actually though, the first thing I want to talk about was one that I actually got to see in the theater at the beginning of the week, because you, my friend, had told me it was coming out. I did not know about it. And it's funny, too, because the first movie, this is a sequel, but it's actually a prequel, I didn't know that one was coming out until a friend had told me about it. And so we went and saw it and was like, whoa, that was outstanding. And so when you told me this, it's The Wandering Earth 2. And it is this Chinese sci-fi epic that is just, I didn't realize it was a prequel going in.
No, it didn't. I didn't see anybody say it was, so yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't watch a trailer. Maybe I should have. It doesn't really matter because I was excited to see it because I enjoyed the first one. The first movie is all about we have destroyed, it's in the future, we have destroyed the atmosphere. Actually, no, that's not what it is. It is in the future. The sun is expanding. And what it's going to do is it's going to envelop the Earth and then explode. So they need to get the Earth away. So they come up with this plan to build rockets all around the Earth and then make Earth a spaceship. Cool. So this is all about everything leading up to that. First movie was really exciting. This one gives us a lot of backstory. The beginning of the movie is chaotic because it's a lot of information all at once, and we're bouncing back and forth and hard to focus kind of on characters, who they are and why they might be important. But it does click, and then it becomes, incredibly just tense. And there's a lot of excitement that is built. And because this is a prequel, some of it you already know where it's going to lead to, right? We know that the Earth has all these engines on it already. So as they're leading up to, oh my gosh, we have to do this test, and what if it fails, or anything else? Well, I kind of know that the engines at some point work. So, and I was worried, is this going to be, am I going to want to sit through it? Because it's almost 3 hours long, too.
And so if you know the end game already,
Yeah, exactly. I was riveted. There are big action sequences that it's a ride. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. There's all of these drones and all of these airplanes at some point. And then amidst that, there's other craziness going on. And so this action sequence is just, you can focus on it. So it's not so crazy that it just becomes a big blur of anything.
That's good.
And you're bouncing between characters and you're like, whoa, oh my gosh. So anyway, the movie itself from an action standpoint, very exciting. From a story standpoint, it becomes enveloping because you watch these groups of people who are learning to work together. I've gotten so many comments from, I guess they're white racists. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, seriously?
They're like, this is just importing communism and Chinese propaganda. And I'm like, ugh. I didn't see any Chinese propaganda. There was nothing in this movie that was like, yeah, exactly. There was nothing though that was like China good, everybody else bad. It was, oh my gosh, we need to work together because bad things are about to happen to everybody. So let's all get on board and work together. So whatever. But the acting is really good. There is some wonky dubbing that goes on. Whatever. There's this British dude, or he's an English or an American dude. I don't really know. He has this big tantrum at the end, and it's over the top and it's childish and it's funny, but it's not meant to be funny. I think for me watching it, I was just like, oh gosh, I need to slap you.
It's the issue I had in RRR with the British guy with the weird accent. That's
exactly who I thought of in this. That he's so over the top and so demonstrative that you're like, you've actually become comedic.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not what the scene is actually calling for, right? Yeah. So this pulls in a lot of different ideas too, because it has some ideas of like a Second Life type of thing where like AI or augmented reality or a what do we do with like our consciousness,
right?
And so there's these questions that are brought up there, and it plays in deeper. And I love at the end of the movie, it brings us up to current times, and then it makes you wonder, are they going to do a third one? Because there is a mid-credit scene that introduces some stuff that could point to a third movie. I don't know if it actually is going to or not. And a lot of people in the comments said that there was like 80 minutes that was cut from the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder if we could
so
get like a Blu-ray release, like a extended edition.
Yeah, the full director's cut or whatever. Oh my gosh, that would be outstanding. So this is definitely, it was hard to find it in my area. There were not a lot of theaters that were playing it. It was packed though when I went, which was outstanding. So yeah, I think if you enjoy just sci-fi, some of it plausible, some of it not. But it doesn't matter because it's also action and it's drama. There's some good emotional beats to it as well. Like I wasn't sure I was actually going to connect as much with a couple of the characters because at that beginning it is so chaotic and you're just kind of, you see this relationship begin, but it's very quick. And yet in that quickness, they have these beats that, at least for me, I connected with because they were emotional in the right amount of, like in the right setting. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely worth checking out. If
I really want to see
the first
it,
one,
but it's not showing locally, like you were saying. It's really hard to find.
well, the first one came to Netflix within, I want to say, like a year.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. Yeah.
So maybe a streaming platform. I mean, maybe even Netflix. I don't know, but maybe they will pick up this also, and
Fingers crossed.
yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, that's how we experienced RRR. It had been in a very limited access in theaters, but then the streaming. So yeah.
So yeah, because Wandering Earth wasn't playing locally, there was an Indian movie that's playing locally, and that's called Pathaan. And the more I think about it, the more I think maybe it shouldn't be on the best thing I watched, because, and I know everybody's going to hate me, like, why could you say that? Because it is really just, the story is what you'd expect it. You see I guess you see everything coming. However, I had so much fun with the ridiculousness of Pathaan that that's why it's on here, just because I enjoyed it so much. The action is over the top. It belongs in the 90s with MTV music style Bollywood for like music video style bits. There's only 2 music videos, one in the middle, one at the end, that kind of wraps up the film. It's also part of the Spyverse, which I didn't know. I've actually seen one of them, War. I didn't know that was part of the Spyverse film that's on there.
Oh, really?
It's on Netflix,
Okay.
yeah. And apparently there's a couple of other films that we need to go find out with the character that's mentioned in this film, he's done 2 films already. And as far as I can tell, there might be like an Avengers type of movie coming with the Spyverse with all those characters, which would be awesome. But this film, it firstly, culture shock for me in the cinema. I was the only white guy in the cinema, and it was fully packed. Nice. And the way people enjoyed it, I think that helps the experience being really enjoyable. A lot of people recording, which I didn't mind at the time, because it was like for moments of a particular actor that came on board, they were like just recording clips everywhere. And then like when the title come up, the people like recording, and then the women that were seeing a certain guy shirtless, which happened a number of times. Some, I swear, were orgasming in like they were like slapping the arm and they were like, oh, literally that type of noise. And I was just like, oh, cool. Like if I did that to a woman, I get chucked out and stoned probably, but you do you. And then there were other guys checking the emails. So, you have a bit of everything. But yeah, for the most part, really, really enjoyable, over-the-top action. I think I mentioned to you there's one action sequence, to give you an example. A guy smashes through the window using someone else as a shield because a grenade is blowing up, and he lands on a helicopter blade, slides off, and then takes on another guy with a roundhouse kick at the bottom. That's the sort of movie that you're going to get. It's definitely James Bond, Pierce Brosnan era. That's okay. the type of thing you're getting. And then more over the top than that.
I gotta tell you, So Ruben messaged me this week, and he told me about it. He's like, "Yeah, there's an intermission. I've seen it. I'm actually in a movie that has a proper intermission." I'm like, "Oh, what are you seeing?" And he tells me, and I'm like, "I have no idea what this is."
Never heard of it.
So I watched the trailer, and I immediately, no joke, text my family. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to see this on Monday night, because I knew I couldn't see it this weekend because I had all these Sundance movies. It's like, I'm going to see this on Monday night. Who wants to come with me? And I gave a brief little, it looks like a crazy over-the-top action movie that is absolutely ridiculous. And yet it looks like so much fun. Here's the link to the trailer, and my oldest son was like, I'm in. And then my youngest, so we ended up, my wife and my daughter-in-law were both kind of like, no, you guys go have fun. So we have in the U.S., at least at the Cinemark theaters, we have what are called D-Box. They move. So
yes.
they vibrate.
Yeah, we have a similar thing. Yeah.
Do you have it? Okay. Well, I saw one movie recently with that, and I really wish I would have seen both Top Gun and Bullet Train in D-Box,
that would have been
because
amazing.
I think those movies.
Yeah.
So I paid the extra money. Oh my gosh, it was $60 for 3 of us to go to the movies on Monday night, this coming Monday night. But we got the D-Box, and I don't know, maybe I'm going to throw up. Maybe I'll be thrown out of the seat. I don't know. But the movement combined with what was going on, I mean, it looks bright and flashy. Like the trailer looks it's like oversaturated almost with color. And
the action sequences alone on the D-Box, you're just going to have so much fun. It's ridiculous.
So excited.
Yeah.
I don't even care if the movie, like you said, it's predictable. Whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going because I want to see the action like I saw in the trailer. I mean, it's kind of like Expendables, right?
Yes.
Expendables is a stupid movie if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
But the action and all of the nostalgia that's packed in there because of the actors.
I don't know how loud they'll have it in yours, but our speakers, like in our Sunday, was barely handling the reverberation. Like it was distorting. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was like kind of...
like pushing that limit like this, like
and that's almost just in the punching, because it's just like like when it's just so over the top in the kicking and the punching. Like I don't even need to give you a synopsis. There's just bad guys trying to destroy the world, is super duper spy dude trying to save it. Like that's it. That's the premise.
That's all I want. That's all I want. And then
it's no joke, just enjoyable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So 2 weeks in a row, Ruben has told me about a movie that I didn't know about, and I have bought tickets. So I'm
here we go.
I shall be telling you more about it later. Yes. So,
all right. So what's next on your list?
This was the only other thing that actually came out this week. It was on Netflix, and it's called The Snow Girl. And it is a Spanish mystery.
Yeah.
Sort of. Did you get a chance to see this?
I didn't get screeners, so I didn't have time.
Okay.
That's how that goes now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. So it's based off a novel, and I haven't read the novel, but I am intrigued now by the writer.
Okay.
Because the content of this is pretty dark. It's a young girl is kidnapped during a parade, and this is her family now trying to find her, the search for her. And then there's also this investigative journalist who has her own baggage and her own trauma from her life that we see a little bit here and there in flashbacks, but she is obsessed with the case.
Right.
And she's actually doing more to investigate than the police are. And we see this spans like a bunch of years. And as it goes along, we just see the toll that it takes on the family in little bits and pieces. They're actually not in this very much. The story becomes more so about the reporter.
Okay.
And interspersed with her own trauma, which is, we understand what it is. We see what it is, which is horrifying. But the mystery of that part of it, because it's still unknown to her, is unknown to us. And they don't conclude that part. So that could be an annoyance. Fair enough. The the story of the little girl, I mean, it's always interwoven in there, but it's just this search. I think the series is a little too long, just because it's 6 episodes. 6 episodes? Yeah, I think it's 6 episodes, 45-ish minutes. So it's not that bad, but because we see repetition, especially within the reporter's backstory, or her trauma, that gets to be a little bit much, So at the end of it, the end of the series, there is a conclusion to the mystery and to the story.
Okay.
So this is not a limited series, though. So because at the end, it leaves it to follow now the reporter.
Ah, okay,
and
clever.
Like she becomes, it becomes a detective story, but she's our detective that we would follow. So
right.
If Netflix doesn't renew this, you can be satisfied that the story that it starts with gets a conclusion. You can be a little annoyed that the reporter story doesn't really have a conclusion because she still hasn't solved that for herself yet, and so it's unsolved for us.
Yeah.
But so I had said, in my review, I enjoyed the mystery of this, but I'm really now intrigued. By the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to follow the reporter. That's the story that I'm most interested in now. And I want to see her solve another case. It becomes less about the case, I guess, and more about the character.
Yeah.
And even though the case itself is interesting or dark or at least engaging. And so it's, if you haven't seen it, I mean, if you like those foreign, dark kind of drama thriller types of things, I mean, it's worth checking out. Yeah, it was, but not bad by any means.
Okay.
So and I get for you. I mean, if we don't get it early with everything else that we have to watch,
it's hard to catch up. But it was on my radar. It was something that looked interesting, looked like it could be had decent thriller sort of vibes. Yeah. And,
though, the one other thing, really quick, there's at least it was for me. It's not misdirection, but there's mystery that's thrown in from character actions, where it instills doubt in you with the character, and which is fun. Because then it's, while a lot of it might be predictable in certain spots, there were shocking moments that I didn't see coming, or that I was like, oh, wow, you did something there. Or I look at a character and I go, I don't know about you.
Nice. So that's good when they do that, because, that's unusual for us because normally we see everything we've seen so much. So if it can subvert your expectations, it's a really good thing. Yeah. Okay. We had a season 2 of anime on Netflix this week called Record of Ragnarok. It's basically about the gods are fed up with humans, and they're going to wipe us out. They're going to take us to extinction. But in order for us to not do that, there's a Valkyrie that's willing to help us in a competition where the greatest warriors fight against the gods. And obviously, this is throughout time, so you can choose any warriors. And who the Valkyrie chooses is she's got a really interesting mind for basically, she's a master strategist, piecing things together ahead of time of who would best be. So in season 2, because each season contains about 3 matches. In this one, we actually only have 2 because each fight takes a number of episodes, and then we get a bit of story in between. And we're starting to catch up with the actual manga, so I think there'll probably be 3 or 4 seasons when it finishes. But in what anime or story can you ever have saying where you've got Hercules fighting Jack the Ripper?
Oh, really?
And that was enough for me to go, okay, I'm in. The thing is, what I wasn't expecting by the end of the season is I didn't want any of the characters to lose, because they give so much backstory to each of the characters. So we have a fight, and they start the fight, and then there'll be a line of the character will say something that will trigger a memory, and then we get a whole episode of just backstory of what happened to that character to get there. And so we get that on Hercules. We've had lore on Hercules before, but there's so much stuff that they incorporated to make Hercules' character more likable. I mean, we like him anyway, but and then somehow they made me root for Jack the Ripper, because and he's he's totally evil. but you understand like him fighting, how he got to where he did, like this backstory of, I see how you got there. I don't like anything you did, but I understand why you are fighting on humanity's side, and why you are the best fighter for that job. And so the second one, it was equally interesting. I'm trying to remember their names. Anyway, it's just one of those weird animes that doesn't seem to know quite what it is. Are you a fighting anime or are you story? And it tries to toe the line between both. Now, the fans of the actual manga weren't impressed with season 1, and I understand that. I didn't mind it. But this season feels like it's taken a step in the right direction. There's still some story that I would have liked another couple of episodes that give us more story in the background of what other characters are doing, because they look so interesting. There's so many different gods. It's not just so you got Odin and Zeus, like a mixture of gods there, but you've also got all the Indian gods. You've got Shiva is one of the fighters that we see, which was a fantastic fight. And yeah, so just numerous really weird gods that you're itching to see more of and their character designs. But it's so much fun. Like, I flew by the 10 episodes, very, very quick to watch. Yeah.
Nice. What streaming platform is it on?
That's Netflix. Yeah.
Netflix. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So, is the first season like 10 episodes also?
Yeah, both 10, both very easy to binge.
Nice. Okay, so next on my list, this is actually one that I saw at Sundance, and I have zero clue as to when this is actually going to come out.
What's it called?
It's called Cat Person, and it stars Amelia Jones from Coda, and who is also in the House of Keys. What was that show? Lock and Key. That's what it is. But the other character in this, it's the actor Nicholas Braun. Now, the actor is also in Succession. I have not seen that series yet, but as I'm watching, I'm like, dude, you look so familiar. So I looked him up on IMDb. And do you remember Sky High? How can you not remember Sky High, right?
Of course. It's a great,
so you know the really tall blonde-haired kid who just glows in the dark, that was his sidekick. He is the other star in this movie. So yeah, which is funny because he's really, really tall and Amelia Jones is really not tall.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is an uncomfortable and haunting movie. My wife and I were talking about it the other day because it has stuck with us after watching it. It's about this couple, these two people, and the movie examines what is said and unsaid and how that poor communication, whether through self-censoring or through body language or feeling what the other person, you take on what the other person, you assume they're feeling or thinking. And so you don't say something or you interpret what they say. It's all about, all of the bad communication that happens within individuals and then couples. And you then take that and make it as a romance into a thriller.
Huh.
And it is...
That's different.
It is. And I'm sure when people see it, they're going to be mixed on how they feel about it, because there's a gut reaction that you have to it. But then I think as you step back from it and then you start having conversations about how each of the characters contribute to the poor actions and how it messes each other up and stuff. I think it's not easy. You could just blanket and be like, oh, well, it's him because he does this, or it's her because she does this. But I don't think it's that cut and dry, and I don't think it's that simple. I think there are so many layers to this where you can look at her and go, well, duh, she would totally react this way because he's acting like this. But then you could also look at him and go, well, he's acting like this because he's picking up on this. There's some fantastical elements within this. So we get to see inside the characters' heads of how they imagine a scenario going.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, it also though sets up for a couple of times where you're like, is this really happening?
Yeah, of course.
Or is it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's overall, I really, really enjoyed it. And more so because of the discussion that it creates surrounding the story and the content and the execution of what these actors do, what the characters are undergoing. It was funny too, because before the movie starts, at least in the streaming ones, I don't know if it happens in person or not, but there's a brief little discussion with the director. And so you get to hear sometimes some of their insight or why they made this or why this was special to them or whatever. And the director of this one, she didn't give too much away. She was like, I'm not really going to talk about this, and I actually don't want to sway how you feel one way or the other. I just hope that it causes a conversation. And it did.
Susanna Fogel.
Yes.
Who incidentally wrote Booksmart.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I'm half and half on that movie, you know? This one, though, take like so many examples of bad relationships or bad things to do in relationships and then insert them, but under innocence, kind of. Like it's not necessarily like these characters aren't out to sabotage the relationship. Sometimes their actions just do that because of, and then you can also go back to, we see part of a family here, and then this influences why a character might act this way, whatever. So
the performances and the story must have been riveting enough to keep you engaged and watching if it's on the best thing you watch. Because I find with these particular stories, it's normally hit or miss. There's no in between. Like they're either good or they're not.
Yeah, and it is a little slow. I think there's a point where, and that could be because I misread the time. I thought it was going to be like 90 minutes, and it's really 2 hours.
Okay.
And so that could have been my own mental thing of like, I thought this was going to be shorter. There is a discomfort in it, that you have through it. But yeah, it was riveting. I mean, I was very engaged in the conversations because we're able to, as sitting outside of it, to look in to both characters and be like, dude, don't be like that. Dude, don't be like that, Remember that, okay, so the series that you told me about, Eternally Confused and Eager for Love?
Yes.
Remember that? Yeah. Okay. Wonderful series.
Yes.
There's a point in there where the main character is talking to his dad, and it's all about, and he had been having this conversation where he passes a woman, like he doesn't know what to do. When following a woman, it makes them uncomfortable. He gets that insight of, if I'm walking too close behind a woman who's walking by herself, that makes her uncomfortable, And so he's like, I overtook her. I sped up to go around. And the dad's like,
you're just chasing his girl at night.
Yeah. The whole thing. It's just bad. But when you hear it from his perspective, he wasn't trying to be creepy or anything like that, or threatening or anything, but that's exactly how it came across. And so you have some of those elements within this story. That's where they're kind of comedic here and there, but more so it is, it bugs you a little bit in your soul. And so I can't wait to see who picks this up. I could see it as I could see it going to like a streaming platform really easily. But I do hope that it gets a distribution within theaters, and then so good stuff.
Nice. Okay. So next on my list is something that I'm a little bit disappointed that people don't seem to be gravitating towards, because it deserves to be watched by everybody, and everybody should be watching this. But I could say the same about Ted Lasso. A lot of people were late to the game with Ted Lasso. And once people started getting into it, they were like, this is genius. And then, I was late to the game. I think I watched the first episode and I just didn't buy it. And then you were like, Ted Lasso is amazing. What are you talking about? And then I watched a few more, and then I'd watched all of them. And I was like, when is the next season out? Give it to me now. So from the creators of Ted Lasso, Brett Goldstein is one of the creators in this series. Shrinking. stars Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. As a grieving therapist starts to tell his clients exactly what he thinks, ignoring his training and ethics, he finds himself making huge changes to people's lives. So there are 10 episodes, they're half an hour long, very easy to binge. And what surprised me is, sorry, my camera's doing a weird thing. What surprised me is, and no shame, I found myself crying in one episode, in like, I think it was halfway through one episode, and then literally the next line, I was bursting out laughing.
Wow.
And it got me a number of times like that. I don't know what it was. It maybe just emotionally connected with me. It was something in the characters. But my word, was it a harrowing, funny journey. This guy, after a year of having lost his wife, has gone on a drug-induced bender with girls he shouldn't be partying with drugs, and he's just kind of forgotten his 16-year-old daughter that also is now grieving, and she's had to grieve by herself. So she's latched onto the neighbor, who is, I think, the actress from one of the wives from Scrubs. I think it's also from the creators of Scrubs. She's phenomenal.
Is it Krista Miller?
Yes. Yeah. My God.
Okay.
My gosh. When you get these guys together on screen and they're just bantering with each other, it feels like they've known each other and they've been doing this series for 10 years. It feels like you're on the 10th season of Friends, and that's how close and quick the tight-knitted the group is. So when they rip each other's hearts out and kind of call each other on their shit, and it was like, it feels right, because actually best friends can do that. The thing is that it gives time to the side characters. You feel like you know them, but also it's just the journey of the dad starting to come into a place where he's starting to realize that he needs to sort himself out, trying to get his daughter's forgiveness for leaving her alone for the most intense part of her life. And then we see it from the daughter's perspective. We see it from the neighbors, who are actually really good friends with the wife who's left a massive gap, not just in the father's life, but in the daughters, in the neighbors, in her best friends who happen to be a close-knit community, and how this death affected everyone, not just the dad. Once the dad starts realizing that, he's got a lot of things to fix. Then we get the side of the psychiatry, where he's, with his patients, he's decided to try a new tactic. And that is where it's gold, because we have those two worlds colliding in the best way. And I love it. I mean, by the time I hit end, not the next day, the day after that, I made my wife start watching it with me again, and I started watching it again through the second time. That's how good this series is.
Nice. So are you saying, so Harrison Ford is the shrink, right? He's the psychiatrist?
Harrison Ford is the boss of the shrink. Yeah, it's a business, but he's also kind of surrogate dad to the character Jimmy, who's Jason Segel. And we have a third psychiatrist who's also sort of best friend, who was best friend to Jimmy's wife. And she, I'm trying to, what the hell was her name? She, fantastic actress. Jessica Williams, who plays Gabby. She's incredible. So you have three psychiatrists. We see them go to work. They banter with each other. Harrison Ford's like Big Daddy, and he's in charge of the practice as well. But he also knows like what's been going on with Jason Segel. There are moments where Harrison Ford is so dry, like with his humor, that I just immediately cracked up. And then there are other moments when you get to see what's going on in his life, that he has an emotional range where he's shouting at someone on screen in an emotional way. And I was like, I was not expecting that from Harrison Ford. I haven't seen Harrison Ford being allowed to act this way in years. And he's been doing Star Wars and flipping indie for so long that we don't get the fugitive movies anymore from him. But if you remember back in the day, he was phenomenal. So it was so great. And I was worried, because I think I remember mentioning to you that Harrison Ford's getting on now. He's 75. Does he still have that presence? Well, for one, he's got the suaveness, like dude oozes just coolness, but then he's still got the acting chops, and given the right script, the right dialogue, can bring it out. Him and Jason Segel, their relationship is fantastic. And then Jason Segel and the daughter is fantastic. Then Jason Segel and the partner, I think this is Jason Segel's best work because it brings out his perfect slapstick comedy that he has done so many times, like a Seth Rogen type of movie that we've seen in Done to Death. But he takes that bit and then puts it in reality with drama, and it just works. It's so good.
Nice. Okay, so let me ask you, because Apple does these weekly.
Oh my gosh, no, it's too painful.
Okay, so
like once I started, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna watch the first two because they just dropped in the first two on Friday, and then it's weekly. And then I watched all 9. Oh, it's not 10. Yeah, it's all 9 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe wait.
Okay, so it's better. It's one of these that like you watch like in chunks.
Yeah, chunks would be good. Yeah, 3 episodes at once. That could be good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it kills me with the weekly release of a short episode. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of them are doozies the way they leave them. Yeah.
Nice. Well, it looks great. I mean, that's the thing. You know, I like a lot of the actors in there, so that's outstanding. And I'm intrigued also by Jason Segel's character just deciding to abandon maybe the what the therapist is supposed to say.
He's just reached his wit's end, and his clients, like, he's had the worst year of his life, and his clients, the some that he's been treating for over 2 years, not making a single bit of difference. So he's at that point. There's a moment like, okay, no, we're gonna do this.
Oh, funny, cool. Yeah, it's been on my list to see it now that it's out. But because I don't have the screeners, I think I will wait a little bit and get a decent binge going for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Do you have anything else on your list?
Are you done?
I'm done. Yeah.
Lockwood Co came out.
Yes.
I know you haven't had time because you've been so busy, but
yeah.
Chris,
I wanted to see this though.
Watch it. It's such a weird series, and it could easily have been another one of those teenage angst with magic series that are so much on Netflix and often will get cancelled because I don't know, there's not enough people watching. But what works is that firstly, it's based on books again, apparently quite loved, books I've never heard of. But it's the mixture, I think, of the dry Brit humor and the fact that you're having fantasy. Ghosts are alive, have been for 15 years. There's this lore that we don't really know about. But the people that can help us are youngsters because they have an ability to see ghosts. And there's various different types of ghosts. And that's why kids from the age of 13 are trained by different specialist groups of like security groups that are sent out to stop them and deal with ghosts that are pestering people. Adults can't see them. They might be able to sense it, but that's it. And you also lose your ability as you reach like age 18. You start basically losing your power. So you have a short amount of time. So there's always a limited amount of time to the storylines as well. But it's also so British. Sometimes Cockney suave. Sometimes just in your face is like, yeah, that's so quintessential British. It's also cleverly and annoyingly sometimes pitched at our 3 main protagonists' age, which is 15, 16, 17. And so they do things that are stupid. They act their age. They make the wrong decisions. They go into a fight with ghosts unprepared, really, even though they should know better. They're like, I'm flying on hormones and I'm flying on stupidity. I got to prove myself to this girl next to me who's pretty hot, and I want to show her that I'm a man. Although I'm 16, I'm a man. And so they find themselves in situations that are ridiculous. Now, it's Lockwood Co. And Lockwood is this young kid who's inherited the house and he's trying to keep it and pay for it himself. There's no adult in charge of Lockwood Co. All the other ones have big adults that are basically like parenting the young group and training them. You all have to have a certain amount of training to be able to go into it. So you have like different licenses. And our Lockwood Co. inherit this girl that's, I think she's an orphan, and she comes in and she has an ability that's like fairly strong. So there's 3 of them, and they come up against other like youngsters that are like, you know, bickering, like who's going to get the job. but they are always messing up on one case to the next. They go from one craziness to the next, but there's also a really nice arc that interweaves itself in between the cases that they find themselves having to filter through. So you have a sort of an arc or storyline finished at the end of season 1, but there's so much coming, which makes me worried because it's Netflix and it's very good. And anytime I say it's very good and it's Netflix, they cancel it. And I saw an article just this week when Netflix CEO said, "No, we've never cancelled anything that's been popular. That's not our." I don't like. That's bullcrap, because 1899 was on your top 10, like in your top 5 for weeks. It was like had so many views. You're telling me that's like the other things? There's so many of those series that were doing well that had views. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah. Well, and again, too, the whole beauty of the streaming platform is that it sits there.
Yeah.
You know, and
continue generating. Yeah. Evergreen.
Exactly. People discover it through word of mouth, and then, oh my gosh, you have a new, you know, all of a sudden more people are coming to it because they've heard about it now, you know.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
So this was thoroughly entertaining. They're solid 45 minutes, sometimes 50 minutes an episode. We watched all 10 episodes in 2 nights. Or 8 episodes, or 8 episodes in 2 nights. So it's 4 and 4, and we would just like put on the next one. Kirsten was absorbed. It's the quirkiness of the sword fighting with the ghosts and the Britishness and set in London areas. It just, I think it ticked all the right switches for us. So if you enjoy that sort of sci-fi fantasy stuff with that sort of British humor, I think this is definitely your cup of tea to be even more British. Yeah.
Well, it sounds exactly like my cup of tea, so I am excited. Cool.
Lastly, I have one more. I'll be quick. It's a part 1 and 2. To my shame, I've never owned these, and I think I've never seen both films through. It's one of those films that when it's on, well, I would say back in the day before streaming, when you're flicking through channels and it's late at night, you can't sleep. It's one of those films that come on and you're like, I'll watch a bit of that. And it's one of Jackie Chan's films. Have you ever watched Armour of God?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, cool. So there's Armour of God 1 and 2. Let me show you the artwork. Here you go.
Ooh, okay.
So what's really funny is each time there was an indie movie that came out, Armour of God would come out a couple of years later. It was like Temple Dew came out, Armour of God came out a couple of years later. And there's a lot of references or like set pieces that are very similar to that indie movie. So if you take Jackie Chan, big set pieces, lots of stunt work that it's all done by very young Jackie, like super young Jackie, whose name is actually Jackie Chan in the movie, but he's a Tomb Raider, and he goes by like Hawk is another name, and that's how it starts off with, exactly like Indy. It starts off with he's raiding something. It's definitely Jackie's version of Indy. But then you get Jackie's martial arts in it and his stunt pieces. Each film finishes off during the credits with how all the stunts went wrong, and you see how injured Jackie gets during the making. So that's the credits, and you just see, like in both films, he almost died. Like you see how injured he gets because he puts his all into every one of them. He does the stunts. And sometimes you're wondering, how on earth did they get away with, like, some of the platforms that Jackie's fighting on top of are super high, and there were no nets, there was no like wires, and you're like, oh flipping heck. You see him shout cut, and he's going like this because he knew he almost just felt his death. And it's brilliant. So, but the fun, I would say this is a mixture of a little bit of the Ark of the Covenant one and the Crusade.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But so the first one, Armour of God, he's trying to find the pieces of armor that were from a war that were said to like hold like significance, which is why, put on the whole armor of God from the Bible sort of thing. But someone kidnaps his friend's someone kidnaps his best friend's girlfriend, and so they hold it ransom, and he's got to go and do that, and the whole adventure ensues. And it's a similar sort of thing for number 2. Crazy fighting. If you think like Jackie Chan early day films, Drunken Master, that kind of, I don't know how many of Jackie's films you've seen, But
Not
for
a ton.
me, before there was Jet Li, before there was Jean-Claude Van Damme, the guy that set the stage for it all was Jackie Chan. And then you take, which was obviously like, I mean, I know people are going to argue with it, but obviously kind of ripple from like the indie films. Too similar not to be, but they did their own thing as well. Very, very highly regarded as some of Jackie Chan's best work and stunt work. And I'm so happy that they're out on Blu-ray with that kind of the artwork alone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you, in all the makings of and the special features, you just get to see how much he's willing to punish himself on screen. And you can't even describe how intricate the fight scenes are, the environment that he uses. You know, the guy spinning ladders, rolling on barrels, you know, flipping people backwards. The stunt guys, his stunt team, the way they're able to land on their neck and not die. You know, you just like, I love it. Thank you guys, but I am worried for you.
Yeah, you're making it a little too real here.
And as much as I love it, there are definitely things that have aged about it. Like if you watch the indie films, there's things about those films that have aged. The score is hilarious. There's literally a bit where I was doing this in the air with the synth, and for those listening on the audio, it's my finger pushing down on a keyboard with the one thing. Wah, wah, wah. You know, that's the score in some of it, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I could have done this in my sleep. But when it comes to fighting, nothing has ever come close. You know, John Wick, everybody kind of mimics Jackie Chan stuff, like from earlier in the days. And Jackie has his people that he looked up at, but between him and Bruce Lee, they set the stage for martial arts in film. And those are two of the best that you're ever going to get. So fun.
That's cool. I'm going to have to look for those. I've
never seen
even
them?
heard of them.
What?
I never even heard of it.
Amazing.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'm always up for some ridiculous action, so that is...
That's Jackie. You'll love it.
Well, I saw something on YouTube, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and I don't remember what the context was. And I don't remember if it was Jackie Chan or if it was Michelle Yeoh or maybe both of them. But there was like this train, like they were fighting on a train, and one of them fell off. Like the train is...
Yeah, police. I think it might be a police story. Michelle Yeoh and Jackie Chan are in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they did that stunt. Yeah. I know exactly the stunt you're talking about. Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, even if the train isn't moving,
still
you're falling from like 12 feet up in the air, but not just falling off. I mean, you're moving as you.
Yeah, it's the stuff they've done is stupid, but amazing.
Yeah,
I was thinking. Who do we have that's like that now? The closest person is Tom Cruise. Doesn't do the martial arts, but he certainly does the stunts.
Yeah. That's
Who else
the
does that?
insanity of that. Yeah. Well, the martial arts would be, what's his name, and I'm going to destroy it. Uko Iwais from the Raid.
Iko Uwais from the Raid. Yeah.
Yes.
He's great. It used to be Jet Li, but he doesn't do it so much anymore. Tony Jaa.
He's old now too.
Yeah, he's as old. Yeah, Tony Jaa. They've moved on. We need newbies that are willing to kind of take and champion on that. But like, unless they're training like them, like.
I'm not sure though that we're going to get a lot of that, just because at least from any studio movies.
Yeah, not willing to license,
because of the liability there. I mean, like,
you need to have your own production company like Tom Cruise.
Exactly. Oh gosh,
so good.
Yeah, which makes them so thrilling to watch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Anyway,
well,
I'm done now.
Okay. We thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to share, like, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. Me, Chris with Movies and Munchies. We're going to put in the description below links to the audio portion of the podcast, so you will get everything you just saw, plus bonus stuff. We're doing an exclusive movie review within there, some entertainment news, some of the things that we're looking forward to that's coming up. Also, as Ruben had mentioned, please, just for a few dollars a month, you can check out, well, let me start over because that made no sense of what I was trying to say. For a few dollars a month, you can help support this channel, or more so the production of the show and the podcast. On our Patreon. You can check it out at any time, patreon.com/thebeardedOnes. It's also linked in the description below there. Like Ruben said, we have over 40 videos. in there. Some is ridiculousness. Some is movie reviews. That's good grammar.
Some
Some
is
are
R.
movie reviews. Some is R. Yes. We have movie reviews. We talk about entertainment. We dive into some news topics. Then there's also just some ridiculousness. Also, there's a part where I give Ruben diabetes. So we invite you to check that out there. You can always tweet at us at Best We Watched. And with that, hey, we thank you. We will see you next week. All right, take care.